This is the EVP Podcast.
Guess what, everybody? It's the EVP Podcast, and we're back with another episode with Ghosty.
And Beaker.
And I'm Philly.
What's up, Philly?
What's up,
Philly.
man? What's going on?
What are you, a cheesesteak today?
Well,
He's an alias.
That's usually what I go by. Unlike not my professional name, I guess you could say.
Pull the mic up.
Yeah. Sorry, is that better?
I love that.
Talk at the mic. I'm going to start calling you
I
Philly
don't
at
know whether
work.
to talk to the mic or to the camera. You know, still getting used to this.
Do
thing
both
right
at
here.
the same time.
Look lovingly into the camera
As you talk into the microphone.
as you eat the microphone.
Gaze right into it.
There you go.
All right.
Perfect.
Nice. No, yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. Awesome.
Oh, yeah, he's back. He's been here before.
Aha.
Dun, 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 dun.
And real quick before we get into the episode, we ended up getting a pretty cool email the other day.
Yeah, we should respond to it.
Yes, we will. But we'll respond as a team. Just kidding. We ended up getting an email about one of our first...
Episode 29, I think it was.
29, yeah. It was
Lee
Lee Sober
Sober
Shapiro.
Shapiro.
Jinx!
Oh, I lose.
Yeah.
I already bought you a Coke.
You did. I don't got to pay you back now. So anyways, that was pretty dope. A family member of Lee Sober Shapiro
Should we
emailed
read it?
us.
I'll pull it up real quick.
Okay.
You keep talking about it.
So yeah, somebody had told her about our episode, and so she listened to it and reached out. Because good thing we tell our listeners our email address every episode.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
We do.
Not,
we do.
Not we, you. I'm glad you
Us.
do.
We do. We do it. Us. It's a group effort. You remind me to remind myself. So I'm not gonna say her name, but she did say, "Hello, I was just told of your podcast on the death of Lee Sober Shapiro and her interest in spiritual experiments. Listening was very interesting. As a family member, we heard various stories about her life and death. It was said that when she died, her coloring had changed and her face looked gray with an almost blackish tint. Some family members have wondered if she was poisoned and believe that she was. There was no autopsy as her father was religious and did not want it. She had a very spiritually directed life while in Baltimore." And she went on to thank us for posting the episode.
Pretty cool. Thank you for responding to that. And if you guys haven't heard that episode yet, check it out and you'll know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, we did a lot of research, or tried to do as much research for that episode as we could, and the problem is there's not a lot out there, and I don't know of any other podcast really that have done episodes on Lee Sober Shapiro.
EVP exclusive.
Yes.
Fwah, 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 fwah.
We stole the idea from our best friend Zach Bagans. What? Are
It
you
was an
singing to
alarm.
me?
No, I was foghorning here.
Oh, okay.
That was the sound of the ambulance coming to take him away.
Uh-huh.
You stole his heart.
It stopped right in his tracks.
All right.
All right. Well, this week we are going to talk about psychedelics and the spirituality and combining the two together.
Yes.
So,
I'm excited. Can you hear it in my voice?
because I think you're scared.
And, well, I might be fascinated.
You will be after this.
I like how we work that in every episode.
I heard you see dead people.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Okay.
Sort of.
Have you ever seen dead people on weed?
God. You in here because of marijuana? Boo this man.
That's good.
Good movie. Good movie. So, guys, what are your thoughts about psychedelics and tapping into the spirit world or your higher self?
Their thing. First off, we should establish what psychedelics are for those people that don't know, kind of like myself.
So I guess you can consider that psychedelics.
Talking to the mic.
Sorry. So psychedelic, there's actually something going on with psychedelic therapy right now, right? And it's proposed that they use psychedelic drugs such as psilocybin, which is mushrooms, and then they're also using MDMA, LSD, ayahuasca for treatment of mental disorders, right? We're talking about schizophrenia. We're talking about deep depression, stuff that people are taking drugs that could kill them, right? They're taking natural remedies, which are usually, having astonishing results. We're talking about medical journals that are releasing tons and tons of research coming across. Personally, I had my stepson went through recovery, and he used, it helped out a lot during the recovery of a lot of the opiate recovery people, you know, and I'm a real big advocate for opium recovery and all that stuff. So
the word psychedelic. We just found this out just like minutes ago. For me, anyways, means mind. Oh shit, mind something.
isn't it mind altering?
Mind openness or mind awareness or
Mind
something.
making or mind
We don't know.
shit. It was.
If only we had a way to look it up.
If only there was some kind of thing I could talk to and give me answers to everything. Hey,
Well,
Siri.
while you do that, so from my very limited understanding with something like LSD, for example, that was accidentally created in a lab in like the 50s, and by a gentleman named Timothy Leary, I believe. And they were actually doing a lot of experiments in the 50s and 60s using LSD to kind of cure some of these things that you were just talking about, some of these like addictions, like alcoholism, for example. And it got to the point, and from what it seemed like to me, just kind of like an outsider's opinion, because I've not really done any research on psychedelics, in 1970 something or other, President Richard Nixon kind of put it on the controlled substance list and said had no medical benefits and banned the use of LSD. And it almost seemed like it's one of those things where it's kind of like marijuana, in my opinion, where the government couldn't get a control on it. The government's not making money on it, so they shut it down. But apparently there was, in the limited time that he had to do the research on this, it was very helpful for some people in their controlled studies.
I think it just was mind mending is all it was.
Mind mending. So what he went back to what you were talking about. What was it you were talking about?
So mind mending. Psychedelic means mind mending, and I don't know why I couldn't think of that.
Because
right away.
you aren't mending your mind.
I probably should do some psychedelics then.
Like, yeah, I think that it really does have some sort of healing property. Like we were doing a little research before this thing started, right? And they were talking about how you can literally go into your own being, right, and fight off this kind of what we was talking about, fighting off cancer.
Cancer, yeah. He
Fighting
said
off-
so. There was a patient he was working with. Was it LSD that they took, or I can't remember. They took a psychedelic.
Mushrooms.
Was it mushrooms?
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
was mushrooms.
So they took the psychedelic, and he said that the person was basically like scanning their body on the psychedelic, and they were able to kind of like find the cancer. And they said there was a very timid, mild-mannered lady that wasn't very loud, and all of a sudden just yelled, "Fuck you! Get out of my body!"
She looked at this black
And
mass.
they said shortly after, like, the black mass disappeared. So apparently she was able to use this psychedelic to cure her cancer.
Or like even find where it was in her too.
Right.
Like
Yeah, identify it and fight it off, right? And I think I honestly think that you don't necessarily need to go as far as psychedelic. I think even just like meditation and stuff like that has some sort of healing power as far as like being able to find your inner self. And I think that's really what it's more about, is
Yeah.
being able to find your inner self and really exalt everything that's holding you back, right? And that's making you become a victim or a slave to whatever that it may be, you know?
so thoughts more on like interacting with the spirit world when it comes to psychedelics.
So I think
Have you guys
I think the realm. I think the whole thing is the realm is more. You make yourself more available, right? You're more in tune with your environment. I don't think it would be more that you're able to, like we were just joking around that you see ghosts and this and that. And I wouldn't say as far as that. I guess, you know.
so
Well, I'm going to agree with you on the part where, yeah, you're making yourself more available. And it could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. Because if you, in my opinion, because I've never done any of this stuff before, you take some sort of psychedelic, you're not completely in control, I would assume. And you're opening yourself up to a possible positive experience, but you could also invite something negative in that you don't want to be there.
like I wouldn't suggest going ghost hunting on shrooms. Like no, not at all.
I think if it's in a controlled, like, safe space, maybe, but
I wouldn't
mean,
say as much as like ghost hunting as more of like opening yourself up to meditation and trying to contact more mentally than using machines and objects to contact. More of a mental state and getting there throughout, you know,
Well,
spiritually.
I would agree to a certain extent because, like, some of the videos that we were watching, they talk about how when they do these studies with using psychedelics, there's like 2 psychiatrists there, and they walk the person through like what the process is going to be like. It's in a controlled, safe setting where you're not just at home by yourself that's never done it before, and you're like, I'm going to drop shrooms and just see what happens.
In a recreational state, right? Yeah, and you're just shooting from the hip, right? Of course, it would have to be under medical supervision in order for it to actually have some kind of therapeutic effect or advantage, right? But as far as like tuning into the spiritual world, I think it's more of I think you'd probably just be tuning in more into your inner self because it's just a moment of growth at that point.
So let me tell you some experience. I'm gonna throw. I'm gonna say it's myself hypothetically. So I'm just gonna say it's me every time I tell a story.
Okay, let's talk about you.
So I was gonna meditate this one day, and I was gonna use some psychedelics while I meditate to see what that would bring out in my meditation. And I was using a DMT. And so doing the DMT, I didn't do like a full send. I just did a small amount, put myself into a meditation, and pretty soon went into a meditation and was confronted with myself. I'm sitting there looking at another me like I'm looking in a mirror, but the other me is talking to me, and it's telling me, like, you don't even know how strong you are yet. Like, there's so much you can do. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And the other me is like, you can even feel pain without having any pain. I'm like, what? And then all of a sudden I'm out of my meditation and my mouth just hurts, like I bit something in my mouth. And I'm trying to feel around for it, and I can't find it, and the pain's gone. And I'm just like, that was a trip.
So you what you did is you transcended, right? Like you like just in just bare meditation, you're able to do that, to be able to detach yourself. Like it's almost a scary feeling at that moment where that happens, and I'm like, that's not you. That's not you. And and I like, if that's you, touch your face. And I just remember reaching over and slapping my face like this and just sliding my hand down my face, and I was like, oh my God, that's you, like, but then just right back in. But of course, that was when I was doing a lot of yoga. Like at one point, I had this thing talking about how I was going to start Fat Boy Yoga, right? I was going to start a YouTube page called Fat Boy Yoga, and we would do little like keto recipes and stuff like that. But then it kind of fell through because I was enjoying meditation for a minute, but then things started getting a little too I started getting a little too comfortable, or not, like things started.
You were farting.
No, it wasn't even I was farting. It was more like I was like stuff like that. Like I was like slipping out of my body, and I was just kind of like, I was like, and I'd go on little adventures and stuff, and sometimes I'd stick around still, and I'd be like, well, what the hell's going on, and yeah, I didn't like that, it was almost like you were stuck in the in between. But since you were in a deep meditation, you just stop breathing in that state, and you're able to get yourself back out, right? But as far as the psychedelics and all that other stuff, I think that it's more right now, as far as what they're using them for medically and all that stuff. It's more of trying to get people out of like some serious deep issues that they're just trying to work out through. Especially when it comes to like addiction, right? Addiction's one of those things that it's a taboo out there that a lot of people are like, well, it's a personal issue. It's this and that, and it's not really looked at as a mental issue. But really, it could be cured with stuff like that.
Well, yeah. So sometimes they're doing the research to find out that it's it can do like a mental reset sometimes, and kind of put you in a different mind state, chemically or wavelength wise. And
well, we all function on a wave, like you say, like on wavelength, right? And imagine the wavelength that you're on, and then you're able to expand your bandwidth.
So
right?
While we're talking about that subject, then let me tell you about this other situation where I did the meditation and the DMT was involved, just a small amount. And I think the first one I mentioned was actually the second time. This was the first one, and I get there, and it's more like, I'm just kind of like a pair of floating eyeballs going around looking at everything. And there's a bunch of pedestals and things sitting on each pedestal. And I'm moving around and looking at everything. And this voice is telling me, everything is moving even when it's not moving. And then I focus in on things and I see how the vibration and like the fractals, everything's made up of everything. And I'm like, holy shit, you're right. And like I kind of come out slowly and I'm just like, what kind of Confucius shit was that? That was dope.
That's interesting that you say that, because like even like we as in our physical reality, right, we tend to see things like this desk, right, as a solid thing, as a solid, like to us it's a solid thing. It doesn't seem like it's animated or alive in any
Or it's
means.
moving.
But you break it down to like you said, the fractals or the molecular sector, and they're moving so fast that to us it seems solid, but there's really a whole nother
We can go
world.
through it.
Yeah, there's a whole nother world there, right? I don't know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's
Keep pushing.
Yeah, keep
Nope,
pushing. Yeah.
nope, I'm not going through
Fast.
it.
You got to vibrate faster.
You're not moving your finger fast
Vibrate
enough,
on
yeah.
a higher level, please.
No, but that's crazy that you say that, because like I do believe like that even solid things and inanimate things are actually like still hold some sort of energy, right? They probably hold more.
Well, that I'll
energy,
agree with
so,
you on.
Yeah.
Because crystals, like I use crystals when I do energy work, and they hold a ton of energy.
And they also have the ability to clean, right?
Yes, so not all of them, some of them do.
Yeah.
But it depends on what you mean. Like, there's some crystals that clean other crystals. There's some crystals that you can use to like cleanse yourself.
I wish these crystals would clean. This floor is a mess over here.
Hey, Crystal, get over here and start
I
cleaning.
will
What the
find
hell?
someone named Crystal to come clean your house for you. Like, I want crystal maids.
No, so yeah, doing a little research into this, I spoke to a few people, and I just wanted to get their experience on their version of what happened with them doing psychedelics, right? And we'll take subject X for instance, right? Subject X said that
Let's name him Pay.
Pay. All right, Mr. Pay. So Mr. Pay said
Philly and Pay was out hanging.
No, Pay was just telling me that he woke up. It was a Sunday, and he had just had a nice weekend with his hippie girl, and his friends were always giving him crap because the gal had freaking armpit hair, and she was like straight. She was straight, all about her, she was all about nature and stuff. And she asked him when they woke up that next day, she's like, what are you gonna do today? And he's just like, oh. He's like, nah, I don't got nothing planned, just probably do some laundry and stuff, get ready for work tomorrow. She's like, all right, well, we're going to eat some mushrooms today, and we're going to go for a hike, And he's like, I had done, mushrooms when I was a kid, and we laughed and all this other stuff. I remember laughing so hard that my freaking stomach hurt the next day. My face hurt from smiling so much. He's like, but this was different. He's like, we went and ate some mushrooms, went on a hike, and as we're going up the hike, we get up across this meadow, and these things start kicking in, and he said, I could feel the ground like breathing, and he's like, and it was weird because he said that he had never been in nature like that, where he was actually
In tune with it.
And so he said they walked out into this field of meadows, and she's like, check this out, and she like walked out into this field of meadows, and it just had a bunch of flowers and a bunch of, just stuff that grows out in an open space, and as she's going through, she's like swirling her hands around, and as she's swirling her hands, he said that he can literally see like the life force that was coming off of the flowers and stuff like that. She was disrupting it, but she was just kind of moving it, as her hands were, and he was just like, it was the oddest thing. He's like, then we made our hike all the way up, and he's like, and then on the way down, the sun was going down, and we were kind of starting to come down, and he said, he was saying that as they were coming down, they started noticing that it was the time when the flowers, he's like, they sat there at the meadow again, and he said it was time when the flowers started closing for the night, and that their little life force thing, that it was starting to, as soon as the flowers closed, they stopped seeing that, the sun goes down a lot sooner, I guess, in the mountains or whatever, and they said that as the sun was setting, that he's seen that, and he's like, that had never, he's like, and at that moment I realized that I was one with all of this around me, right? And I found that very fascinating. I was like,
Right.
I was like, wow, it was like, and he had, from that moment forward, he had an utmost respect, he said, for nature and for what nature stands for,
Yeah.
and a full
and this
understanding.
has been going on for thousands of years.
Well, and the thing is, he found an understanding that everything has a beginning and everything has an end, and that was the and even every day, he said, every day everything has a beginning, everything opens and closes,
I think
as well as
I think everybody should take a mushroom trip in nature just so they can kind of experience the being one with nature and understanding some things, like, because on mushrooms it kind of does open you up to things and you understand things more. Like, it seems like even when you're not trying to like be one with nature and you're just having fun with buddies, in like a room setting watching TV or something and laughing about it, you all like get things on another level. Like you all understand the jokes way more, and it's like funnier, and then like it becomes an inside joke forever with those people.
Like
that was
and that's let me tell you about subject B, right? Let's call him
Phil.
Let's call him Burn, right? And
Just kidding.
let's call him Burn, and he was saying that one time him and like 4 of his friends they didn't have nothing to do on Friday night, you know, so they all ate some mushrooms, right? And they were sitting there, but at one point during the night, he's saying that he looked up at the ceiling. And that all of a sudden, all of them started. Sorry. Then
you can look up at the ceiling and still talk in the microphone.
Yeah, no. So
it's a possibility.
Or you can talk in the microphone and not look
I
at
don't
the
know. I
ceiling.
don't know. I'm trying to look at the ceiling right now. No, but they were looking at the ceiling, I guess, and he said that they were all looking at the ceiling, and then all of a sudden, one of them just kind of pointed out a shooting star, and the rest of them seen it, and then he said it's just kind of like the ceiling slipped away, and they all had like a mass. Like a mass sighting, I guess, or a mass hallucination together, which, you know, I don't know how common that is in you know, when you do that, but he was talking about how they all seen the shooting star because they're just like, whoa, check that out, and it's all, boom, you know, and then there it goes, you know, just shooting across the sky.
In the room
in the apartment, you know, they're talking about a second floor apartment, so it's just like a ceiling, kind of like we're here, but they were all like on the couch, and they stared at the ceiling long enough that they just, I guess they eventually imagined stars, or you know, but yeah, I'll tell you another one about subject. Let's see, subject S, I guess. This one was it was one of those ones where we were talking about the bad moments, right, or a bad experience, and it got to, he said that he started having a bad experience, and the only thing he could do was really just pretty much embrace the chaos. So he pretty much just said he tucked his arms behind his back and fell into the whirlpool, and he made it out alive, and he said it was a hell of a ride, right?
That's what happens when people eat too much. Like, you gotta like know yourself, and you don't want to like overindulge, because anything too much, like you could take an aspirin for a headache, but if you take too many, it's gonna be your last headache.
Well, life's all about balance,
But
right?
the good thing with mushrooms, that'll never happen on mushrooms. Like, that's the crazy part. Aspirins will kill you, and everybody can buy that any age. But
it's pretty
like
unreal, right?
you can never. Like, the worst that'll happen if you take too many mushrooms is you'll throw up.
Well, the funny thing is you see all these commercials for all these medications and stuff, and all the side effects. They're like, the side effects like actually outweigh the benefits. You're just like you're like, anal bleeding. What is that?
Leakage.
Yeah.
Anal
Oh, sorry,
leakage.
leakage. Yeah, sorry. What is that? You know, you're like, would you guys like literally give this to kids? Like,
It's when you lactate from your butthole.
So I don't know if you guys ever heard of anybody or like watched the was the Spirit Molecule. It's about DMT, and then it was on Netflix.
No, but I've heard you talk about it a lot.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I've told you about it before. Yeah,
You've talked about it on the show before.
I have, and I was trying to get you to do some DMT.
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
But you know, when people do this, they all experience almost a lot of the similar trip. Like, they all kind of have the same trip. They see different things, but they experience, you know, going through this tunnel, kind of going through different rooms, and then ending with these weird little trolls or little dwarf things that are talking to each other. And I've experienced that as well when I've gone on these trips.
Did you experience that after knowing that that's what other people experience, or did you just experience it and then found out about it afterwards that's what people experience?
No.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I didn't. So when I had heard about this, I didn't really pay attention because I'm like, I'm gonna experience my own thing. I'm not. After experiencing my own thing and then rewatching that, I kind of was like, oh, I wonder if they're referring to this situation when this situation happened in mine. I'm like, okay, that makes sense that they were referring to this. So when they talk about these weird little dwarf creatures, sometimes they talk about them as these balls that are bouncing and talking to each other.
So, but you heard about the dwarf creatures before you had your experience?
Yes, and so when I heard
it
these,
could be the power of suggestion. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
okay, I'm telling you, I'd never told you my experience yet. I'm telling you what I had heard about, and then my experience, what I experienced. I didn't see balls bouncing or little dwarfs or anything like that. I didn't see any of that.
Okay.
Shit. What I experienced at the end of mine was I was in a dark room, and I kind of hear like this loud spotlight turn on, and it's kind of lit up. And you know, the whole time your eyes are closed and you're in a meditation state. So I'm seeing light in the room, but everything is still dark. It's only lit up in the top, and I can kind of hear something in a corner, and then it sounds like water running, water trickling, and like turkey gibberish. It's like, but then I hear something respond on the other corner, and they're just kind of responding to each other.
So they're actually having a conversation.
Yes, and so, but it's in some weird shit I don't understand. So anyways, I'm thinking, okay, I wonder if this is what people are referring to when they're talking about these things, talking to each other and whatever. But I didn't experience that until probably the second or third time trying it. The first,
What was your location? Were you in nature? Were you
no,
out in nature, or
like
were you out,
in a safe
closed
place, in an
environment?
enclosed environment, in like a recliner, and just quiet. It's a quiet room in a recliner. Lights on or off doesn't matter. My eyes are closed, and I'm in a meditation state. It's just quiet. And there's times when you're going through this tunnel thing and it feels really intense, and where some people could probably feel like, oh, this is too much, and want to open their eyes and end it all. But you're completely conscious, and I can tell myself, oh, this is only going to be like 5 minutes. This isn't that, this isn't anything crazy.
Yeah.
And so I can like relax and enjoy what's happening.
You're not really falling from the ship, right?
No. And then you're just like I'm here to absorb everything and see if there's anything. But there's never anything like, there's no new knowledge getting passed on to you in these trips that I've experienced. I've heard about people saying, oh, it felt like a whole lifetime passed by and all these things happened and I had all this greatness and now I'm a new person. No, it was nothing like that.
Like the people that I've talked to, that I spoke with, most of them told me that they did have a different, a profound new way of looking at life as far as what reality really is, right? A perspective, I guess. I guess it would be more of a perspective.
Right. It just opens your mind up to more possibilities.
I'm not going to say that they were saying that, oh, that this saved my life and this made my life perfect. No, it's just it gave them the ability to see more of the circle instead of the square, right?
So check this out. The last time I did a full send on it, I actually saw these things. I actually went. I was kind of like, hey, I want to like do enough to like, a full send, but just a little bit more. And then I did, and I seemed to go to that end where I told you I kind of ended up in this dark room and
after
these things.
The tunnel.
Yeah, I didn't go through any of that. I went straight to that end spot. I went right to the end.
Your save point.
And actually, this was the weird part.
You respawned.
When I get there, it's bright. It's bright. It's vivid, and these things that are talking to each other, they are also bright and vivid. They're like. And there were like sparks of energy when they would talk, and it was more digital and synthesized sounding, but still the turkey water gibberish, but synthesized. Anyways,
that's the technical term, turkey water gibberish.
Yes,
I think I speak that
when I sleep. So, anyways, the way they would talk to each other, they weren't physically there. There wasn't something there. But when they would like talk, it was like, imagine glitter on a speaker on a subwoofer, and like when the subwoofer would hit and it would kind of go up kind of like in a pattern or like in a weird shape. It would kind of do that, but it would like you could see the vibrations.
Yeah, it was more of a vibration. It
would like make that noise.
A reverberation.
Yeah, more like a reverb. And then something would just, there's nothing there, but when it would respond, it would like show up in that glittery shit.
So I've heard stories about that, about the place like.
Well, hold on. There's more to this. But anyways.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah. So stop cutting me off.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
So anyways.
Jesus.
Well, it was more like they were mad at me. Like they were talking in a way that was pissed off that I showed up so fast. And they were like getting, like the way it sounded was pissed. And I'm like, what did I do? What did I do wrong? And all of a sudden I'm out of there. I'm no longer there. And I'm just kind of here, like where I was. And I'm like, so my eyes are now like kind of open. And I'm not going anywhere. I close my eyes again. I'm not going anywhere. So I'm just like, and I was like the beginning of the trip, and I had done a little bit more than usual to get there, and so I'm like opening my eyes, and everything's not in fractals, and so I'm just like trying to wait it out until it's over, so I can go out and be like, okay, that one didn't work as much. It was a weird one, but it was super weird, but I couldn't like get it out of my head yet until that was like.
Here's a thought. Okay, maybe you're in a meditative state. Maybe it's your spirit guides and they want to talk to you, but they can't because you've chemically altered your brain and it's mush and it can't think straight.
Well, that would be hard to say that because you can think straight. It
wouldn't be hard. I just said it, so it's not hard to say.
Well, you've never experienced it, so I'm saying it's hard to say if you've never experienced it.
No, but I am reading your energy.
You're in your head and you're completely conscious. You're not like weird. You're not like, oh, I'm high. You're not like that one bit. You're actually completely conscious. You're coherent 100%.
Sounds like you amplified your bandwidth. and that you were able to expand your antenna, the power of your antenna, right?
But it just seemed weird that, so it was just funny that these things got mad that I just didn't, I bypassed
So,
everything. Like I
I'm
skipped
really
the line
curious
at
about
like I
those
went
things.
on a
So-
ride and I
so
skipped the line, went
Reading
right
your
to the front.
energy, just by reading your energy right now, that's what I'm picking up on is your spirit guides are mad because you're doing things that they don't want you to do.
See, and this was more to like,
That's just my opinion. I mean, you can disagree with me all you want. I don't care. That's just kind
no,
of
no,
what
no,
picking
I'm
up
not
on, so.
disagreeing with you one bit.
I
was
just that's what I mean. I personally don't think that you need psychedelics to go into a state of meditation, or it's not going to magically enhance you spiritually by doing psychedelics during
not
meditation.
magically.
That's I mean that's almost what kind of seems like people think is going to happen. I agree with the medical aspects where it can help cure addiction and other things like that. I've interviewed somebody about 5 years ago where they went to a rehab center in Las Vegas that was run by a DJ that uses ayahuasca to help people come off of their addiction. And I've looked into it, or when I was interviewing the person, and I wanted to know more about their experiences. And there was a lot of people that they used ayahuasca to get over their addictions and to kind of help heal things. And one of the videos I was watching, there was a dude that frequently goes to the Amazon, and I think he was saying that like the way they do it there, they're doctors.
Doing, so the ayahuasca is like a 7 to 10 hour.
Well, they have this
DMT
whole
trip.
this
It's
whole
definitely,
ceremony that they do, and usually it's the doctor that's taking the ayahuasca, not the patient. And the doctor is, this is what the dude said. So,
Everything I've seen,
it was on
the people go there to do it themselves.
well, yeah, that's the people that go there. That's not the people that live there. That's the people that this is their culture. This is what they do. This is the guy that has lived with these people.
Okay.
And
Oh,
the
okay.
the healer in their
Okay.
town,
the healer,
right?
the
Is
healer,
taking
hims-
that trip for
the healer,
them.
the healer uses the ayahuasca on themselves, and then they start doing the healing for the patient. It's not the patient that's taking the ayahuasca in that
interesting.
culture.
Interesting. Okay, I've
and
never heard of that.
That's That's the video I was telling you about the World Science Fair, where they had the panelists. The one dude, that's how he said that tribe did it. And I'm all for using things for medicinal purposes, but I don't think it enhances meditation in any way. I think you're just hallucinating or possibly having a bad trip. I don't know. I've never done it, and I never plan on doing it because I don't think it's necessary, in my opinion, for meditation.
Not necessary, not at all, but different when it comes to opening your mind. I think it can, if you're doing it in a way to try to open up to certain things. Like, I think mushrooms would be kind of hard to. I think mushrooms give you more of like an understanding of things, but it'd be hard to meditate on that or use that to contact spirits in a way. But I think if you microdosed it to where you're not tripping, I think that would kind of, I think you can enhance some things by not doing it to trip out on the mushrooms, but doing it to microdose to enhance certain aspects. So like when we were at the Hatch Chocolate, when we investigated that day, I wasn't tripping on shrooms or anything, but I had microdose. So I'm not feeling them in any sense. I'm not feeling like I'm tripping in any way, but I did feel more open there. And I was able to feel a little bit more.
Okay.
So you were, but these things that you guys feel though, they're vibrations, right? They're like
Energy and vibrations,
They're
yeah.
vibrations, yeah.
Vibrations.
When I feel
So
energy, it's a
it
vibration.
would make sense that something like something that enhances your ability to be responsive or reactive to vibration would enhance your ability to be a little bit more in tune with your environment, right? And in those situations where you put yourself, you are definitely pretty much you're exploring an environment, searching for something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I meditate.
Yeah, no, meditation is great. I'm telling you, I've scared myself out of meditating. So yeah, things got too real for me.
But
yeah.
I don't feel the need to use a substance to enhance that session.
I don't
I think you can achieve the same thing without doing those things.
To be honest with you, I think I've had worse luck trying to meditate drunk. You know, like say I got off work and I said,
to at all.
I tell myself, hey, I'm gonna have a couple beers after work, you know, and then I still going through my whole yoga routine
I would
or whatever it
definitely not
was, you know, and
recommend
then it was just like, and then I tried, and it was just kind of like, every time I close my eyes, I just feel woozy. I was like, this isn't gonna work. Yeah, but I agree. I agree with you on that sense that you don't necessarily need an enhancer to, because when you're going to those depths, you're going in there into yourself, right?
Well, and who's to say that, like, when you do these things and you meditate, alcohol or psychedelics or anything, who's to say you're not just hallucinating? How do you know that you're actually experiencing or having these experiences and you're not just having a trip and you're not just hallucinating?
If it happens, it's real.
Okay. My
you're
thing
still
is
having
coming,
the experience, I think it doesn't matter of who defines the reality, right?
looking at it from a paranormal standpoint, like I do, because I've been doing this for damn near 10 years now. I've seen a lot of shit on paranormal investigations, and I'm not saying that, like, I'm not saying go out and it's not like you guys are saying either go out and do shrooms and go investigate, but I mean, unless you're like in a controlled area and you're doing this, I mean, you could be opening yourself up for some kind of psychic attack from something like an inhuman negative entity. You don't know. I'd almost compare it to, I've talked about my opinion on spirit boards and how I think they're just another tool. It's just not a tool for me. Maybe psychedelics are just another tool for meditation. It's just not for me.
I just think drugs in general can inhibit your vessel to allow things to enter, right? Like, okay, take for instance meth head, right? A tweaker.
It's more like things leaving their body. I think there's more. That's not a psychedelic, but I think it's more of like their own spirit leaving their body.
They feel more in tune with what's going on around them, right? But at the same time, the rest of us look like they're crazy. Like I seen this lady earlier, and my brother was like, "Oh my God, I think I went to high school with that chick, and she's just over on the side of the road, just flip flopping around." And just like, I'm like, man, poor girl, But the thing is, I don't think the drugs necessarily. I think they could allow they could allow adverse effects as far as you being able to be in control of your being, right?
So I wouldn't say that psychedelics would enhance a meditation. I would say it would alter the outcome of your meditation.
And it could be good or it could be bad. I mean, there's a positive, there's an upside and downside to everything.
Like I said, I wouldn't do meditating on mushrooms or and then when people like peyote, you can't really meditate on that. They're going on spiritual trips. It's like they're completely out of their head. I've never tried like a peyote trip before. So I don't even know what that's like. I hear they're
amazing.
I don't even know what that's like, but I know that when the natives use it, I mean, they're going on like journeys and they gotta turn into a man when they come back. Like they come back, they gotta be different.
Well, I mean, that's all part of their culture. That's part of what they do. Like, I mean,
but just hearing about some of these stories when they've gone on these adventures, when they talk, not adventures, but these journeys, it's like
these are ghost adventures.
Like you speak of culture though, and a lot of I know a lot of Norse people, Viking people used a lot of mushroom for their. A lot of wild
even
mushrooms
the
for their
first cavemans, like the Iceman, when they found him and thought him out and found he had a pouch full of different mushrooms, and some of them were psychedelics. And
well, I think at that point it was just kind of like trial and error. You're like,
I think he knew.
Yeah,
I think he knew. He had a pouch full of.
At a certain point, I think he's like, okay, this one is going to give me energy.
I think they were holistic. I think they were for some for healing, some were for tripping.
And stuff like that,
so. Probably doesn't eat the whole thing. Probably just take nibbles of it. So enhancing senses, even maybe not even a trip.
Maybe they knew about tapping into the psyche, into the personal psyche.
I think they have for self-healing. I think they've known about this shit for
self-healing for a long time.
They have known about this for tens of thousands of years. But when they created our society, they nixed all that. No. This is not how you heal anymore. This is how you heal now.
Well, it's when religion comes in.
It costs money. Yeah.
Witch.
Oh, well, you're using nature to heal? You're using nature? Nope.
Well, a lot of that has to do with religion. When religion gets involved in things and they don't understand it or they don't want to understand it,
and then it turns into corporations, and the corporations find out they can make money.
Well, no, they don't make money off of healing you. They make money off of keeping you sick, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the deal.
Yeah, so they don't give you the good stuff.
Yeah, no.
They give you the anal bleeding.
Exactly. Yeah, the leakage. Leakage, not bleeding. Yes.
When you lactate from your butthole. I went over this already.
Bloody
Tim,
leakage.
I hope they come up with a new medication.
Anal
for
bloody
you, bud.
leakage.
Yeah.
I'm scared and fascinated by it.
No, I find that.
I'm just
funny,
scared
though,
by it.
because-
I'm not fascinated by anal leakage. That's just
I find it funny though, because like you see them pushing all these medications and stuff, and then all of a sudden, years down the road, you see a commercial late night saying, "Did you take blah blah blah? You know, did you suffer from a heart attack? Did you know somebody that died from this?"
You know what they'll never hear?
Yeah.
Did you suffer from anything from shrooms? No.
There's possibility, you know, but that's the thing though, is that these guys when it comes to misunderstanding of the use of actual medication, right? If you got John Hopkins putting out, you know, actual medical research on this stuff, it's time to start like listening and taking it for real, you know.
So there was this new thing that we were just seeing that it's called MAPS, and they're the ones that are doing this research on it. One thing I wouldn't think is any good when it comes to like tapping in would be LSD. We didn't even mention that.
Oh yeah.
But I think that's mainly because it's man-made, and it's more of like a fun thing. It's just laughing, but it's not like. I don't think it's
We didn't even
spiritual.
touch on MDMA either, you know, and MDMA is still considered one of those. It's not quite a hallucinogenic, but it's considered.
Yeah, and I think they're doing more ketamine than they are MDMA, and
yeah.
I don't think ketamine is that much of a. I don't know. I haven't actually done ketamine. I don't know.
Ketamine's just a horse tranquilizer,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Like, I could imagine that wouldn't be very fun.
But they're yeah. I know.
Yeah.
We're gonna put you almost under, just enough to where you're like loopy as shit.
Hey, my man, how do you feel about anesthesia?
I love it.
Yeah, prescribed by a non-prescription doctor. You
For
know?
horses.
Yeah.
Knock my ass out.
Don't
I
worry,
want to talk to
Seabiscuit.
ghosts.
You're gonna be just fine.
But yeah, some of the things that they're doing is that ketamine and Cambo, which comes from frogs, not the other toad, not the toad. It's a frog.
Whenever you
Licking
say
the
frog, yeah.
frogs.
So
Every
there's
time
a
you say
frog and
that-
there's a toad. Frog is Cambo, and then the toad is NEOMD. Is it MEODMT?
It's
MEO5 DMT, something like
similar
that.
to that,
Yeah,
right?
but it's like DMT times 10.
Yeah, and that's just interesting. You know,
And that's just
you
licking a frog's
yeah,
butthole.
exactly. Yeah,
Just kidding. I like every time I talk and say something creative, I get this cool little chime.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Right.
keep it down.
It's
Sorry, my
magical.
Sorry.
But
That's what it sounds like when you're on a trip.
yeah, when you lick frog butt.
You hear magic ringing.
So yeah, you hear.
But
a lot
that's
about
something
doing
that
toad.
Mike Tyson's all about, though. Mike Tyson is all about the toad.
So like
He's changed.
So he's talking about how there's he has changed and he's become
more
he's become-
spiritual
yeah,
and
more humble,
more
humble,
way more humble.
more humble in his older age, right? That's the thing is,
But that's opened him up a lot to like people's emotions and their ideas and their thoughts and like how they feel compared to just the way he used to be and just like I don't give a shit.
no, and
Well, is that
well,
a recent thing? Because like I know.
Yeah, it's
It
been
does-
in the
I
last
mean,
couple of years.
It
Yeah.
would make sense because I mean I read that the only reason why he did the Hangover movie is because he was addicted to cocaine and he needed money to buy it.
Yeah, but that was like a good 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So,
now
so I
Well,
mean, I've heard.
we
like I
all
said,
grow at our own rate, I guess.
sometimes.
Yes, absolutely.
I've heard great things about ayahuasca and how it helps people overcome addictions. So I'm not opposed to this stuff for medical purposes.
I think honestly right now one of the biggest things that we fight in this country is depression, and I don't think that it gets talked about enough, and I don't think that it's really like because there's a real big stigma around it, you know, like I personally, I think I'm kind of the same way. You know, I have a stigma about seeing a therapist or, you know, telling anybody else my business and stuff like that. But like with treatment like this, with like microdosing mushrooms or anything like that, like you were talking about the ketamine and all that stuff. Like I think I think one of the most overprescribed medications is antidepressants, and you know what the side effects is to an antidepressant is suicidal
Yeah.
thoughts. You know, like so. You got on an antidepressant because you're sad, and now your side effect of your antidepressant is that you might kill yourself. You know, like I never heard anybody that wanted to kill themselves after going and doing an ayahuasca.
right, nobody.
trip.
You never
Yeah.
hear any of
Yeah.
that. And like what was I gonna say just now? Shit, I lost my track of thought just now with all that chiming over there.
Train of thought.
sorry.
See, you've lost it so
I
much.
lost
that
my
you-
chime of thought.
train of thought.
My chime of thought.
Oh my goodness. You've lost it so much you don't even know what the saying is.
Oh shit. But oh yeah, we were talking about healing and oh shit, what was it? Damn it, I just totally lost everything I just was about to say too.
I don't know. I'm not in your brain.
I wish you'd get in there more.
I know you do.
Go deeper.
That's what happens when you pick your nose, bud. No,
I let it all of the air out.
No, no,
I've deflated my brain.
Yeah, I think we still have a lot to learn about as far as the mind and the ability to heal the mind, because like I never thought that like that depression was like a real disease, I just always seen it as something that was just kind of a side effect of, it was just like you just choosing to be sad, right? And in most cases, I think people are really living.
I remember what I was going to say now. When it comes to the mind altering, and a lot of people lately have been telling me, you know what, I think you have like ADD or ADHD or HDTV, and I'm like, it's 4K, it's dope, right? But anyways,
also fascinating ones do.
But I'm like, I've never been diagnosed for it before, and I'm like, if I do, what are they going to do? Just give me some kind of shitty drugs that I'm going to take, and it's going to turn me into a zombie if I do take it? I don't even know if I want to try that.
So here's the thing with modern medicine is the modern medicine has extended our lifespan, right? Technically, you can live longer now because of modern medicine, but at the same time, it seems like every time I go to the doctor, hell, I'm only 40-something years old, and every time I go to the doctor, he's trying to push a new pill down my throat,
Put a new finger in your butt.
Yeah, well, pretty much. Might as well. He's literally...
You can only do a new one 10 times.
So, yeah. He
got
9
10 years.
times.
Like, hey, man, this is getting a little
9
out of
times.
control. No, but in reality, like, he's trying to push a new medication, whether it be a blood pressure medication or a liver medication. He's always trying to push something new onto me, right? And I'm always thinking to myself, well, do I need it? Do I really need it? Or, like, because if I'm a firm believer that anything your body naturally produces, you stop naturally producing if you introduce it synthetically, and that's one of the reasons why insulin is, I think insulin is it's a lifesaver for some people, but the same people, it could be a slave, a slave driver, because if you don't have it, you die,
Right.
and you don't produce it no more because you started introducing it synthetically,
I never thought of that way. Yeah,
so
when you're
and
introducing that shit.
that's why I feel like they were always trying to push something new, and like most of the stuff, like I said, that we were talking about has side effects, right? And like when the doctor starts reading you off, he's like, yeah, this is gonna make your liver it's gonna regenerate your liver, and you're like, oh, that's great. Why isn't my liver already regenerating? Well, it is, but this is
you're
gonna make
not
it
a
faster,
starfish.
right? Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you introduce cannabis, it will, but they won't tell you that.
That's a whole different topic for, I guess, a whole other day.
That's a whole other kind of healing.
Yeah, well, but I just still think that it's fascinating that these guys are able to be able to go into their psyche, though, and their body and stuff, and heal themselves.
Right.
Which is,
I think that's way dope. Like, hearing about that was pretty...
well, I remember I heard one time I was talking. They were talking about when they were using cancer or marijuana to. I think it was Rick Simpson on. They're talking about using that to heal cancer. And they were talking about the simplified way of explaining it is pretty much saying that they're pretty much going in there and getting the cancerous cells freaking all the cells around the cancerous cells high, so they're not letting the cancerous cells take them over, and they're just kind of like, hey man, those guys look kind of good, we should eat them, And then
Are you guys as
turn
hungry
around,
as I am?
Yeah, hey bro, is it me or those black cells over there look like Pringles, And then I guess they just go over there and eat them, right? And then that's how the tumor starts to start getting smaller and stuff, because the other cells start consuming it,
Because they got the munchies.
Yeah, they got the munchies. I get, and I found that fascinating. I was like, wow. I was like, isn't nature something incredible, right? The beauty of nature itself is that everything has a beginning.
Right,
has
and
an end,
how crazy is that these plants were made illegal? Like,
Because there's no money in the government for them.
exactly.
They can't control it.
They
Well,
cannot. And it's like, I got to be so secretive to do these natural growing items that have zero side effects.
So, like, I think tomatoes cause inflammation. So
Yeah, heartburn. Heartburn.
We should probably do something about the tomatoes, man.
Asparagus
Yeah,
causes gout.
Oh, see, hey, down with asparagus.
Yeah,
right.
right.
But I love asparagus.
Yeah, do you want gout?
Yes.
No. See, now we're just living in a world of fear.
Turkey
there, right?
meat. You want?
When I got the
Pork.
list of everything I should
Red
eat
meat.
for gout, I was like, yeah, I'm eating all of this.
Yeah, all of it. I eat on a regular.
Yeah. Sorry, we kind of went away from our.
But yeah,
our
psychedelics,
subject,
man.
But absolutely.
For meditation, I don't recommend.
I think, but for as far as medical
I don't
medical
think
healing and stuff like
medical
that.
healing's great. Yes, meditation. I think if done in small amounts, like experimenting and finding yourself and finding things like doing something different, knowing that okay, I'm not doing enough to cause hallucinations, but I'm gonna alter the way I'm meditating to see if I get a different outcome, and just applying that, but not necessarily going and doing it every single time, and then that's all you do.
Well, I think self-discovery is probably the main thing here, right? Like you always want to be able to expand your horizons, and I'm a firm believer that you always want to get full perspective before you move on anything. You always want to get full perspective, and truly, I believe that the only way to get full perspective is to actually be in touch with other people that can help you surround the whole thing, so that way you have a full perspective. But some people do it alone, and they do it the same way, and it's just by full spectrum on the inside of themselves. But some people need self-discovery, and I'm all for it. I'm all for personal growth, and if that's what they need to do, like you get to a certain point where you just kind of plateau, right? Especially when you're like when you're talking about growing spiritually, you get to a point where you kind of hit a plateau, and you're just kind of like, there's got to be something bigger than that.
Because
right?
like when I had experienced DMT and going on these journeys, and then meditating and kind of just doing the same thing every time I meditate, going, okay, let's see if there is more to it, if I can get more out of the meditation by not doing a full trip, because then it's a full trip. I want to just do a small amount and then meditate and see what kind of, not necessarily answers, but what comes out of it, pretty much. And then coming out of it, it was just a little bit of enlightenment, I would say. Just kind of like, that's really all it was, is just a little bit of enlightenment. Not much like I'm getting answers of everything. Nothing was answered for me. but just getting a little bit of opening to thoughts.
Well, and in some cases it could be opening, and in some cases it could be closure, right?
Yeah. And I mean, if somebody needed closure to something, so this is one of the other things I was thinking about was, trying to tap in. If somebody was saying, okay, I want to, hopefully I can, talk to a certain family member, get that kind of a closure, or knowing that family member is okay, and not getting much out of their normal meditations or trying to get answers, and then, maybe it is a little hallucination, but they could get some kind of a closure answer, or something came to them in that meditation state by altering it a little bit.
Or you can go deeper into a state that you've already encountered, right? Because there's different levels of the in between, right?
Yeah, I think so too. I think there's different areas you can go to.
There's different levels. Like I told you, the one point where it gets to the level where
you were in Mordor,
where I got to the level where I was able to touch my face, and it scared me. It scared me. I was like, whoa, that really is you, And I was like, I don't know, man. But it was definitely
I never made it to Middle Earth before.
I don't know about Middle Earth, but I know I've been stuck in the in between before, where I'm just kind of like in between asleep and reality, But and like how you're talking about the pixelations and the wavelengths and all that stuff. And that's pretty much what it was like. I was just kind of like, and I was doing everything I could to throw myself at my body to try to come back and to snap back into reality. It actually took my wife coming over and actually waking me and shaking me, and that kind of like, then I jolted out of it, and I was like, oh my god, I've been trying to get out of that for like the last 15-20 minutes.
I'm just glad you didn't go to the upside down.
Well, yeah, I don't know what the upside down would be like, but I know that
that's where the Demogorgons live.
Demogorgons are there.
Goddamn Demogorgons.
Yeah. They'll eat your face.
But no, the in between was something different though, because like the dogs were like, things were going on around me, and I can see them, but it was more of a vibration than a silhouette of what was going on instead of an actual detailed picture of what it was different for sure. And I remember swiping my hand like this, and I remember seeing like me cutting through the air, like it looked like me cutting through like little Lego blocks, but they all kind of moved back into place after I moved my hand. It was definitely different, and I was like, wow. I was like, yeah, meditation.
So okay, get this. When you're dreaming, they say that is your pineal gland releasing DMT. They say that the only time that the pineal gland releases DMT is the time of birth and then the time of death. But they're also talking about maybe that's what's creating your dreams, is it's leaking small amounts and you're seeing these dreams. Pretty much you're putting these pictures of your thoughts together and creating dreams because it's producing that. So yeah, that could be
you're
like you're right. You're in that in between. So when you're talking about moving your head and things are moving around, there's times where like going on a full trip on DMT and you're going through these rooms, and as you're going through these rooms, things are kind of like moving out of your way, and you go through it, and then they kind of slide back into place. So that's kind of what that reminded me of. So that's kind of like thinking of that.
Yeah, and that was, to me, I was just kind of like, well, I'd never been in that deep of a state where I was kind of like. And
so you're probably releasing all sorts of.
Oh, well, that's probably, and that was one of the things I was like, okay. And I remember that day I was extremely, extremely tired though. I remember, and like the breathing definitely is what gets you there, right? And you almost hyperventilate yourself to that point, right? But yeah, it was definitely an interesting.
So you're depriving your body of oxygen.
It kind of happens that way, I guess, but
which can cause hallucinations. Got it.
Of course they I guess you could say that, but meditation the breathing is part of meditation, right?
It is, as long as you're breathing.
Yeah.
If you're not breathing,
you're not meditating anymore.
I think at that point you're just holding your breath, right? You're like, if you don't come out, I'm gonna hold my breath till you turn blue.
That's how I meditate.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold my breath till I pass out.
God damn it, spirit guide, you better say something. Say something, or else
Better
I'm gonna go
me.
blue. Yeah. Cut your beard.
Whoa, my guides would never say that.
Oh, that one.
They live in his beard.
I know, right?
They come out of his beard.
The little duendes you were talking about, the little munchkin gremlin
the
deals.
Yeah, they live in the beard.
All right, well, guys, should we call that an episode?
Probably.
Is there anything else we should touch on?
I'm gonna touch you.
Well, that's after the episode.
All right. If
y'all can go back to hugging when I leave.
We will.
Yeah. We should get out of here so we can get back to that quicker.
Guy. Thanks for listening to the episode.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Share this episode with your friends because it's a fun one. A lot of interesting stuff in this episode. Tell your friends about all of our podcasts and how they can reach us on social media at evp.pod at Instagram or Facebook. And if you have a story you'd like to share with us, like the relative of Lee Silver Shapiro, you can email us at Gmail, evp.pod@gmail.com. Also, if you're looking to buy new ghost hunting equipment, you can go to our affiliate link, which is found in our link tree, to Ghost Stop. That's where we buy all of our gear.
Well, everybody, thanks for listening or watching. Ghosty don't play that.
Peace out,
All
butterflies.
Right, have a good night, guys.
Did you just cut off my...
Yes, butterflies.
You son of a...
This is the EVP Podcast.